Hello friends, this is Sanjay Shah. I am reading you my novel The Unfiled Case. This is for the Uspurta channel. This recording is for chapter 8. The case stands on its head. Previously, we saw Vaini Sahib and family met finally, and the real story of the case she has in mind starts to reveal itself. Dada Sahib took initiative and blamed the death on the bisons. Jnanoba has memories of that day as well. He was the last person to meet Santosh alive. Or was he? Now, the meeting reassembled after dinner and lasted well past midnight. There were tempers flying. Bhau was the one most affected person as he found himself in the eye of the storm. Dada was quiet and calm as usual. Tara Didi raised her issues like Vaini Sahib should support the family as the politics is now family legacy. Mama Raste said the case was so old and may not stand the legal vigor as most of the evidence and witnesses may not be available now after 20 years. Thus, effectively, it was a futile exercise. To this, Vaini Sahib said, I know the case will be weak after so long. However, once I raise, a lot of things will change in the party. This is especially so as the allegations come from within the family, not like the media talking about the union leader Maruti Kamble. Maruti Kamble was the leader of Union of Transport Workers who disappeared suddenly and was suspected dead. This was in the midst of bitter transport union strike when Dada Saheb was the Minister of Transport. Vaini Saheb was right. The reputational damage the case will make was far greater than the actual outcome of the case. That too, if the case actually reaches the courtroom. Cases against public figures generally get stuck in investigation level itself, then slowly get to the back burner and reaches backroom storages. If this news gets to media houses and the ruling party, then they will have a field day. Dada Saheb's own party would have to look elsewhere. Once a leader loses his ability to win elections, the political empire starts to crumble. Manoj Nimbalkar suggested that this being past midnight, all of them should get some rest and resume again post breakfast in the morning. Dada Saheb also let the meeting wind up as it was not getting anywhere. He thought he would have to speak to Vaini Saheb alone. After all, it's 50 years of togetherness. She will budge on the some emotional or practical count. What worth his political finesse if he can't get the required outcome from his wife? While dispensing, Mama and Manoj Nimbalkar made plans to visit a place called Saurai Sada, which is a large open ground with a water pond in the center. Wild animals visit this pond for water during sunrise and sunset. Ganesh was informed that he has to carry both these visitors early in the morning for a date with wild sunrise. Jnanoba still remembered things clearly. He was beside Santosh for a long time before Sher Singh arrived back with one more person and Dada Saheb himself. Santosh could not move much and was not alert all the time, but when he could, he had told Jnanoba about his story. Santosh came there with his younger brother Anand, who was lying dead beside him, to take a look at the posh imported cars of Mohite Patil's. He and Anand were fascinated by those shiny hoods and fancy colors apart from cool firing sound. They were just reaching the cottage from the jungle in the evening when the random shots hit them. When Dada Saheb and Sher Singh arrived, they told Jnanoba to go back with the person that had come with them and they will carry the wounded Santosh back. Jnanoba was surprised. But he did not have any option but to obey. He went back and waited for Dada Saheb to fetch Santosh back to the cottage. However, they came empty handed and told Jnanoba that Santosh died in the jungle. Then came the story of bison trampling two young boys, but Jnanoba could not do much. He would still sometimes see bloodied Santosh in his dreams and woke up sweating. Abhay Singha was alone in his room now. He would not prefer to drink alone, but today he was so angered and frustrated by Vahini Sahib's attitude that he could not help it. He felt that he was neither in control of the situation then and nor in control now. That time it was that he was madly in love with Nandita, who was an actress but a very good person at heart. Abhay Singha was not known as Bhau Sahib then. He was a rookie politician. She was already an established actress. They had spent a lot of time together and were committed to each other. But he could not convince his father Dada Saheb about getting married to Nandita. Dada Saheb was marrying him off for political gains. Why did he, as a son, had to carry all the burden? Tara Didi married as per her own wish without permission from Dada Saheb. Dada surely did not approve of her marriage with gym instructor Vishwas, but he still went ahead. He kept drinking till wee hours in the morning, cursing himself how much he had to give up for being a heir to Dada Saheb. Unfortunately, Nandita met with a road accident on the way back from Kolhapur to Mumbai a few days after Bhau broke the news that he is going to marry Mrunal and not her. He could not control his tears when he remembered the last time he met Nandita. She was in a wheelchair as she had lost both her legs in the accident. Not just the love life, but her career as an actress was over as well. Bhau never could figure out the accident was real or a doctored one. Ganesh woke up early in the morning as he had to take two guests to the watering spot to see wildlife. Vehicles could go near the open ground, and one has to walk over to a small watchtower to keep eye on the pond in the middle. Morning activities in the jungle are awesome as many animals are retreating back to rest after a busy night. Chirping birds are waking up and going out in search of food. Ganesh also went along with the guests to the watchtower. However, watching animals is also a game of patience. Ganesh waited for a while, then he decided to leave his guest there and walk up to the car. When he reached back, he saw someone had smeared mud on the bonnet of the white Mercedes GLS SUV. He was searching for who would have done this when he saw a local looking driver nearby. He walked angrily towards him. The local driver soon knew what would have happened. He explained, "There is an old man in Velavan village. He lost his two sons to the attack from bisons many years back. His sons used to like these fancy cars, especially expensive foreign brands. So he thinks some of these cars are behind the death and takes revenge by smearing them. He must have been here. Normally, you will not notice him as he is quite okay. Only when he sees Mercedes or Audi, he won't bother about Marutis." The local driver informed, referring to Suzuki's local franchise Maruti Suzuki. Ganesh was cleaning the car, but he decided to speak to Jnanoba about it. Is there a link with the case Vaini Sahib was pursuing with this? Dada Sahib knew that Vaini Sahib would wake up early. He decided to engage with her individually. He was willing to part with some wealth in exchange for dropping the case. He did not think Sujata would be doing it for money at this stage in her life, but still he decided to try. Vaini Sahib and Dada Sahib were seated by themselves on the lawns of the cottage. Dada brought up the topic. "Sujata, what do you want?" This will end Bhau's politics even before it starts. Do you want to split the wealth? Do you need some trust for your Adivasi girls' activities? Vainisa was clear about what she wanted. You have always treated Bhau as your political heir, never checking if he is the right person to do the job or not. You always ignored Tara's aspirations. Just being a girl, she doesn't even get a chance to prove her merit. I know you have planned for Bhau to take over the empire, but I stand by Tara. Let us release Bhau of this burden. This was a surprise for Dada Saheb. He thought he treated both children equally. However, as Vaini Sahib rightly said, he assumed Bhau as heir. He always considered Bhau for his post, never Tara. He said, "You should have told me." Then he remembered that Vaini Sahib had told him this many times in the last 6 months, but every time he brushed it away. Though he considered Vaini Sahib a trusted advisor, he was just blindsided when it came to Bhau for the assembly seat. He thought Tara could be around, but not the leader. Seeing him being silent, Vaini Sahib spoke further. "I never told Tara that I would give her a helping hand, as she would carry this weight for the rest of her life. She was never under the burden of being a political heir, so she has evolved as an independent person, has her own mind and fresh ideas. Bhau, on other hand, was always under the burden and thus could not see the world without your crutches. We ourselves have stunted him as parents," Dada said. "He may be further shocked if we don't give him the reins and the assembly seat." To this, Vaini Sahib replied, "It's not in his best interest and also of your legacy to let him take over. It is not in the interest of the people you represent as well. I would think we should take this call, else you would not have the legacy anyways if the case is raked up." Dada asked for some time to think over. Satish of channel M9 was worried that he does not know where the Mohite Patils have disappeared. Nobody from Bungalow was willing to talk about it. He pretended to be one of the friends of driver Ganesh and got his mobile number somehow. He kept trying the number, but it was unreachable for some time. Ganesh caught Jnanoba after lunch and had a discussion with him for a long time. He then took off for Velavan village to meet this person who had smeared the car with mud. He was sure to find a connection. He had a witness in form of Jnanoba. The only thing is evidence is difficult to come by, especially after so many years. If the father had any evidence of bullets that hit his son, would he have found some sort of deformed melted bullet when he exhumed the bodies? Will he be sane enough to cooperate? Friends, that's the end of chapter 8 of the Unfiled Case. We will meet for the final time for chapter 9, which is the last chapter for this novel. Please remain supportive of the Uspurta channel, subscribe to it, and also listen to various novels and stories uploaded there by my friends. Thank you.